Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Real Estate 101, the podcast. Obviously, long hiatus, but we're back. We've got Josh from Trade U. Mate, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I can't pronounce your last name. I'm scared to pronounce
Go
your
on,
last
give it a
name.
crack.
Just Frankavilla?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, good.
Too well.
I was scared. Mate, you've obviously got some ties to Geelong Real Estate Co. Tell us about that.
I do. Got my little tentacles in here. My partner Jade started with you guys 6 months ago now.
Yep. It's good. Another good South Australian girl.
Yeah, yep.
Are you from South Australia as well?
Nah,
No.
I'm a big boy.
Yeah.
But,
you don't have the twang that she's got?
no,
Yeah.
no.
No, love that.
She cops a lot of stick for that, doesn't she?
For sure, she does. But no, her and Becca obviously tie up, which is good.
Yep.
Mate, so yeah, tell us a bit about your background. Obviously, TradeView, the name of the business, but yeah, started in construction.
Yeah, I mean, started in construction, moved into food and bev, into wholesale a little bit. And
You've done a bit,
yeah,
really.
Yeah. I've had a crack at a few things for sure. So
Nice. Well, tell us about, obviously, the chippy background, obviously, because that, yeah, goes well with your buyer's advocacy. So, yeah, tell us about your background on the tools.
yes, I guess when I was younger, I started off, labouring with a whole different array of trades in my area, I guess.
Yeah.
And predominantly carpentry. A couple of my uncles were builders. And,
Yep.
my footy coach at the time was a carpenter. So, yeah, laboured with them quite a lot. And, other trades, sparkies, plumbers, electricians,
done it
and
all.
sort of just got a grasp of a lot of different aspects on the building
Yeah.
site, which was, cool. I didn't realise how much I was learning at the time, but, you look back on it and, it's been super valuable.
Yeah. So how many years in total were you doing that?
On and off. So I moved over to Canada when I was about 20 odd.
Yeah.
And so in between ski seasons, I'd strap on the nail bag and get
Yeah.
back to work and save up to buzz off for the next trip. So yeah, on and off for, I don't know, 8 years or so, something
So
like
how long have you been off the tools now?
that. Well, now officially only maybe around 6 months.
Yeah.
So Jade and I just finished up a reno project in Geelong.
Well, that was my next question. So you bought your first house, obviously, in Geelong. Was it your first house?
I've had a couple before that,
Yeah.
a couple of projects
First house in
before
Geelong.
that. Yeah, first one in Geelong.
First one with Jade?
First one with Jade.
Yeah.
And
so you've renovated it from top to bottom.
yeah, it was a doozy.
I hear everyone ended up at the Christmas party back at your house. So
Yeah, which was nice.
apparently the renovation got a thumbs up from everyone in the office.
Yeah, we put the house to its test, so it was good.
For sure. So yeah, what obviously it's a good segue into being a buyer's advocate, but obviously you picked Thompson to get into the market. Why?
Yeah, great question. Obviously off the back of East Geelong there. It's a good little pocket. It was a reno project which suited our strategy at that point in time. And it was the right price and we've definitely we'll do well out of it. So
Yeah, it's always about price, and I think I love that saying, like, you make money when you buy, not when you sell. So if you buy it at the right price, like,
Yeah,
the
it's
rest is
right.
irrelevant, right? I saw on your Instagram story the other day you were asking, like different questions from the audience and stuff, and I jumped in with my question about should you buy a property that needs restumping?
Yeah. And my answer was, I mean, it's funny, a lot of the questions that are coming through, the real answer is, well, it depends on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But as a blanket
You can't
rule,
put that on an Instagram story.
you
It's gonna
can't.
be short and sharp, but,
Otherwise, it wouldn't be so insightful. But yeah, I guess in that scenario, for sure, it depends as long as it's feasible. And like many questions like that, if the numbers stack up and it makes sense,
Yeah.
it's even a good opportunity to inject a bit of equity in the property as well. So you can do well out of properties like that.
Are you finding that like buyers or properties that are needing like significant structural work, like how are they going from what you're seeing on the coalface, like going through open for inspections, talking to agents and things like that, or just even monitoring real estate.com and domain? Are you seeing things sit or?
Not so much in that space.
Yeah.
Typically, those properties are affordable as well. So what I've noticed, and probably you guys for sure will have noticed across Geelong, in that entry-level market and the flippers market, let's say, it's quite hot still, and things are selling off-market before they get out to the
Why
public.
do you reckon that is? Because obviously cost of construction is still high. Trade labour shortage sounds like it's still a thing. Why do you think that that's become the flavour of the month again?
Well, I think providing that the structure that's in place is still solid and it's just a cosmetic, it's a cosmetic dollar. There's still great money to be made if you know what you're doing and you've got the right resources and tools to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's having a major impact on new builds,
Yeah.
and slowing down that process, and,
Yeah.
and it's just super
In
expensive.
terms of like I think it was really hot 2 or 3 years ago, and it's probably just before you got to Geelong, but it was like that subdivisions thing. So anything on over 600 square meters or anything that had a corner block was probably selling like 25% over market value, just because mum and dad investors like the idea of potentially subdividing. They heard it at a seminar.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
one, like I can tell you right now, no one ever does that. The
Yeah,
only people that do are like hardcore builders and developers, right? Like mum and dads do not do that.
100%.
Like-
It's funny. I have people when I'm speaking to investor clients, they always bring that up, and,
Yeah.
and it's funny that you mentioned that. Oh, I want something that I'm able to subdivide,
Yeah.
and the question is always like, cool, like why? And
Yeah.
are you actually going to do it realistically? Because more often than not, it's not the best strategy for them specifically, but
Yeah.
asking the right questions can help bring that to surface for them and help them realize that, hey, well, either this is a great idea for us to pursue, or maybe we should look at doing something else.
I also reckon, just from like a numbers perspective, if you're having to pay, just say that house in Hamlin Heights or Geelong West or whatever is on that corner block, and it's a 600 square meter site, and you're having to potentially overpay by 100 or whatever thousand, like that impacts your return on investment. That impacts your holding costs. So I think like it's only once you've spoken to a buyer's agent or you got a good relationship with a broker that you realize like that strategy doesn't suit for everyone, and what's good in a seminar isn't necessarily good like in real life.
There's just so many ways to play it, and I think people forget that, forget to take all the nuggets of information from all the resources and cater it for themselves. And I think that's where a buyer's advocate's got a great place in the world, in a sense, because it's really a one-on-one collaboration on their specific journey and what's going to suit them.
What's the qualifications or the course? Obviously, you've got your trade background and stuff and certificates and that, but for real estate, what do you need for that?
Exact same as you. So licensed realtor.
Yeah.
And so I transitioned my company from construction into essentially it's a real estate agency.
Yeah.
So it's the same licensing whether you're buying or selling.
Yeah, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Tell us about your first customer, obviously, and like what that's like. They sign the dotted line to come on with you as a customer. What's that feeling like?
Yeah, exciting
Yeah.
and nerve-wracking, only because I feel such a heavy weight and responsibility on making sure that I get them the best result possible.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those nerves will dissipate a little more over time as you get more practice. But
For sure. So what's the demographic of your first customer? Are they like younger crew, older? Like what?
yeah, it seems like I've probably got two demographics that seem to be gravitating towards me so far that I've noticed. Self-employed, because I think I just resonate and speak their language because I've been self-employed in different industries, and ambitious first home buyers who want to get into the market, but they're not just thinking about their first property, they're thinking about big picture and understand that their first property isn't going to be their dream property. So wanting to put those stepping stones in place to get to that sooner rather than kick that can down the road.
Yeah, love it. Tell us about what's your take on property construction, the building industry and all that stuff at the moment. Like what's your, I guess, you're telling customers who are looking at buying a renovator to buy beware, or are you?
Look, even though buy, renovate and sell is a great strategy for Jade and I, and one that we pursue, I wouldn't recommend it for 99% of the people that I work with.
Yeah.
There's other ways to do it, and depending on their situation and their skill set and their time, more often than not is better for them to.
That's interesting. So why do you say you wouldn't recommend the strategy you do for yourself? Is it just because you're not paying retail for the trade?
That, and even just the project management skills, all these things can be learned. And for some people out there who have a trade background or have a bit of time, like 100%, it can be a really lucrative way to inject equity and create cash flow, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's not cut and dry, and it's not black and white for everyone. So it just depends on someone's personal situation and what value they can bring to the reno flip process to inject value themselves.
Yeah.
Because if you have absolutely no idea and you just buy a property with the idea that you're going to buy, renovate and sell it, and your skill set can't add value to that property or to the process, you're paying retail for every step of the way, and what's going to be left really.
Yeah. And that's probably why we're seeing like those subdivision projects. Like there's one I sold a little while ago, and Hamlin Heights on Logan Street was 49. Logan Street was like 1,100 square meters. The guy bought it, little crappy house on it, weatherboard house. I think he paid like, just for our numbers, paid 700 for it. So bought it, 30 grand in stamps, 30 grand in demolish, plans, permits, all that stuff, another 30 grand, holding costs of 12 months. And then in that settlement period and throughout that process, like obviously cost of construction for those townhouses went from 320 to 480. And now like that same project has come back on the market, minus the house, plus all those costs, and the guy's selling it for less than what he paid for it 18 months ago. So like, yeah, it just goes back to your point. If you're paying retail, like there's just no meat on the bone.
Nah, there's not, and increasingly less, I guess, over the last handful of years since COVID as well.
Yeah,
which I'm sure you would have noticed.
Like the trade labour shortage thing would have like gotten better, because it feels like even without as fancy subdividing, but just even people that bought a block of land like off the plan 12 or 18 months ago, and same thing, they borrowed at 2%, it's now at 7%. The house that we're going to build is 350, now it's 450. Like it's just priced people out. We see so much come back on the market. I would have thought we would have seen more people in the trade industry like being quiet. In your contacts and that, do you have many? Obviously, you read about all the builders and that still going broke even now.
Yeah.
But like any of your mates in the game, like are they quiet? Are they busy?
Early in the year, I noticed everyone was a little bit quiet. But yeah, obviously the Christmas rush is always madness.
Yeah.
But probably by the first quarter, everyone had ramped up to a normal level of business, it seemed, in my circles anyway. So I think there's plenty of work out there. The thing is, you can essentially buy properties now for less than what they cost to build in some instances. So it makes sense to buy something that only needs a cosmetic doll up and put your touch on that, inject a bit of equity and play it safely but calculated, rather than go for a full knockdown rebuild at this point.
100%. And you said like put your spin on it, add a bit of equity and that sort of thing in the house you've done before and the house you've just done in Thompson. What are some like, not quick flip things, but what are some of the things that people can do like on a budget that can actually add value? What's your favorite ones?
Look, paint's obviously the easiest
I hate paint.
throwaway one there. Yeah, no one loves painting. But
we're got a good painter if anyone needs a painter, so sing out.
There you go. Yeah. Look, obviously the two main items are always your kitchen and your bathrooms, but they're also your high ticket.
Most expensive.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people don't realise what costs are involved to do those things. And what I notice is when buyers are looking through properties and say there's one of those elements that aren't up to par or need a lot of work, they're not realising what it costs to actually get that looking like a picture that they've seen in Pinterest.
Is that better or what? Like, as in people are overestimating or underestimating?
Underestimating how much it costs to actually get from A to B. So a lot of people will then go and buy properties that they think they're going to renovate or think they have the means to do that. And then when push comes to shove, realise that they may not have the resources or they may not have budgeted correctly, or it's just too hard basket and it doesn't end up happening, like the whole subdivision idea that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So, kitchens, bathrooms. What about decks, pergolas, like carports?
Yeah,
like
I think
front fences, landscaping.
Yeah, landscaping's super underrated, and it can be a DIY job if you want.
Photos of your backyard. It looks bloody unbelievable.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, I think it makes a big difference having a nice, outdoor entertaining area and front yard. If you don't want to do anything to the backyard, just
do the
front. Get it tidy and get the front looking nice. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get that looking sharp.
Yeah.
It can be laboursome if you're going to do it yourself. But again, it just weighing up what's your time worth.
In Preston Street once, and the guys were like flat broke. They're like, literally got $1,500. We have nothing left in the tank to do it. And we just painted the front of the house, like to the front. Just did a little bit of landscaping for new pots, like potting mix or whatever, mulch. And just the photo of the front was enough to get people in, and they could see, righto, like the rest still needs work. But that was that first impression thing that got people up off the couch to come and look at the house. And then people were like, oh, well, if they've done this, like, we'll just do that.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it doesn't increase the value by a huge amount, like you said, as long as it's getting people off the couch and through the property,
100%.
You're getting eyes on the assets.
What's your advice to like those young first-time buyers and stuff that you're saying, and they're potentially not having any luck with the market at the moment? Like, what's the advantage to reaching out to someone like you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm always hearing there's nothing on the market. I keep missing out.
Yeah.
And people get frustrated dealing with real estate agents.
Yeah.
And I have to explain to them, especially when it comes to real estate agents, like, hey guys, the real estate agents that you're dealing with are doing their job and they represent the vendor.
Yep.
And so that's where we have a place in the world to represent you guys and have your best interest at heart, because real estate agent's job is to get the best price possible for their vendors. It's often the biggest asset of these people's life, and it's really important for them to get the best price possible. So the benefit of working with someone like us is having access to sometimes pre or off-market opportunities that you guys get.
That's a big one.
Because we're working with qualified buyers who are ready to go, and you know that working with someone like me, we can get a deal done that's going to benefit everyone involved. So you're more inclined to reach out to me before it goes to market potentially.
100%. I couldn't tell you the amount of like increase from last year to this year, even what we're selling a quarter to buyers advocates, so including yourself, for what it was 12 months ago. Like as a guesstimate, it's probably gone up like 30, 40%. And the majority of those would be off market. Like you said, so we have something that, you know, a vendor says, oh, I'm thinking about selling it not till the new year, I want to get ABC done. And we're like, well, we've actually got a list of people that we could bring through before you do all that stuff. Number one, saves you time, energy, effort, whatever. It's so people that are on the fence about engaging a buyer's advocate, I'm all about it. I think a lot of agents have got this old school probably mentality that you're like, you know, stealing from our breadbasket sort of thing, or taking food off our table. But I don't see the case, because it's not possible. Like I always have friends reach out to me at barbecue and say, oh, you know, keep an eye out for X, Y, Z. And like, that's great. But the only houses I get are the friends and family and, you know, database and customer pipeline that people that want to sell reach out to you. So if you don't have something that meets that criteria, I would steer them towards a buyer's company. I'm like, well, these guys are on the coalface. They're like meeting with all these different agents on a regular basis. They go through more houses on a Saturday than I do. They see more properties than I do. Like I only see the ones I'm selling and my team is selling.
I guess the way to, a good anecdote for that, I guess, is like, it's like working with a broker versus a bank, essentially. A bank's got, you know, their products. You as a real estate agent have the products in your arsenal. And a broker, if you go to a broker, they can work with all the different banks and find the most suited property for them. So that's probably a way to compare that, isn't it?
100%. Love it. Mate, before we let you go, we're big on crystal balls here. So we like you putting your balls on the line and just saying something outrageous.
Please.
In terms of interest rates, I know it's not your forte, pardon the pun, but like, have a stab. What do you think? I think we see a cut. What are we seeing?
I think something will happen probably mid next year. Again, it's not going to be drastic, and I think the hype around it is probably exceeds the effect that it's going to have, I think.
So not till mid next year?
Not till mid next year.
Mate, if people want to reach out, how do they find you?
traviewproperty.com.au.
Instagram.
Instagram. I've had to get on the socials.
Social?
It hasn't been my forte in the past, but I've had to you know, suck it up and get into
You'll
it.
learn the ways, mate. We appreciate you coming on the show. Legend. Thanks, Josh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.